Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reena's Strategic Plan 101 Beyond 2020. We're here today to help make the strategic plan easier to understand. I'll start off by saying that each plan runs for 5 years, and this one is from 2020 to 2025, and we have specific goals that we strive to achieve.
Goals? It sounds like we're playing sports.
Why, yes, it's basically like sports, because there's always a team that works together to get to the goal.
Isn't that a lot of work for one team?
Well, not really, because the players may be different depending on the goal that needs to be achieved.
So are you saying there's more than one goal?
Yes, but there are also many sub-goals within that one goal. The overall goal is to serve people with developmental disabilities at Reena and in the community to the best of our abilities ongoing. But that leaves things wide open, so we set markers. Markers, like this 5-year strategic plan where we break the plan down into parts so that many teams get to be involved in achieving the end goal, which again is to better serve people with developmental disabilities. So let me share what they are and how they're broken down. So there are 3 main goals, and each of them have further sub-goals. The first one being driving change to meet our growing needs, which includes expanding our role in housing, bolstering our expertise in health services, and fostering meaningful social inclusion and engagement. The second main goal is to lead through operational excellence, which means investing in our governance and management here at Reena, enhancing government relations, advocacy, and awareness. And also, the third goal is to increase our exceptional service standards and make sure they have exceptional outcomes, which means strengthening our approach to service and effecting positive change within the labor market.
I don't know. Still sounds pretty complicated.
Okay, you know what? I learn best by examples, so let me give you an example that involves some of the goals that we have already achieved. Now, Reena heard about a 52-year-old woman that was living in a hospital.
Living in a hospital? Does that really happen?
You know what? The unfortunate part is, it totally does. Hospitals are great places to go when a person is unwell, but it's not a home. This woman had mental health needs. She had no supports and was in and out of crisis and ended up in hospital, but when it was time to be discharged, there was nowhere for her to go. So she became someone receiving what's called ALC, which is the alternative level of care. And she ended up living at the hospital for 2 years. Can you imagine 2 years? So when Reena heard about this, we advocated to the ministry, which, remember, was the second goal, leading through operational excellence, of which sub-goal number 2 was enhancing government relations, advocacy, and awareness, which is what we did. And then we moved funding in order to support her in a location that best suited her needs, and that ended up being a Reena group home. So after that, we proceeded with intake during the beginning of COVID-19, which again is the first goal, if you remember, which was driving change to meet growing needs, of which the third sub-goal was fostering meaningful social inclusion and engagement, which is again what we did at the beginning of COVID-19, no less, so that she could move as quickly as possible. And she transitioned to her new Reena home very well.
But what does this have to do with this strategic plan?
Well, you saw the different sections of the strategic plan that popped up while I was sharing that story. And that was to show that our thinking, our actions, and our end results are all in line with our strategic goals. The end goal for this person was to live back in the community with the necessary supports in place for her to live safely and happily. And it took a lot of team players to make this happen for her. And she had to connect with many different sectors, agencies in the process. Many of those steps were in line with our strategic goals. Okay, so let's go through the goals again. Remember, the goals involved were number 1 and 2, and here are the team players involved. First and foremost is the individual. Then, the Reena residential team, who are proficient in crisis prevention, medication and pharmacology, as well as the IPAC measures. Then there was a Reena intake social worker, a CAMH behavior therapist, and support staff from WMA. who knew her well, since they had been assigned to work with her while she lived at the hospital. And there was also a hospital social worker, a person-directed planner from Montage, Lynn Home and Community Care was involved as well as there was an occupational therapist, and then the ministry.
Wow, that's a really huge team.
That's correct, and a multidisciplinary team at that. So, are you getting a better picture now of how a strategic plan plays out?
Somewhat, but that is only a few of the goals, and that makes it seem like 5 years is a long time to achieve goals.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Now, at first glance, it seems like this example didn't really take that long to check off some of the goals, but in reality, many of the goals will take changing systems or building new solutions, and some of the goals are set out to be ongoing as well. For example, developmental services, which Reena falls under, and health services, which includes hospitals and mental health providers, among other disciplines, are governed by two separate ministries. Historically, these two sectors don't always communicate with the same language, and when a person is receiving services from both, it can be extremely challenging. So bridging gaps and working together is necessary in order to serve the individual in the best way possible. Now, Reena has already started working on this by creating a health services lead position and hiring Mario Longo. As well, Brian Keshen recently became the co-chair on the Western York Region Ontario Health Team, a position that has never been held by anyone from the developmental services sector before. So these type of steps will take a lot of planning and drive change sector-wide, which will benefit everyone in Ontario, not just Reena individuals. And these steps also align with all of Reena's three main goals.
Wow, I'm totally getting the hang of this. Are there any more examples?
Well, there are three things that we're currently focusing on, which is housing, mental health supports, and integrating technology within the organization.
That sounds really interesting. Would you care to elaborate?
Well, with housing, we hope when an individual comes to Reena, there is an increased availability of housing and their quality of life improves based on the standards that we draft. Similarly, we want to institute mental health supports for our staff, along with proper training, which will ensure that the staff perform their duties and obligations much better. Lastly, with technology, we can augment and improve the experience of our individuals, whilst also making our services more efficient within the organization. Now, for example, there's a project currently taking place at the RCR where they're enabling technology that will monitor people for falls and alert staff if they sense a fall.
Okay. I think I see the bigger picture. It's all starting to make sense now.
Good. So you see, there's a lot ahead to do, and it'll take lots of teamwork in order to have successful outcomes and accomplish what Reena's strategic plan has been set out to do.
By the way, who makes up the teams?
Now, that's a good question. Strategic planning teams have a diverse group of people in order to get input and feedback from as many voices as possible. There may be individuals and/or family members, frontline staff, supervisors, managers, board members, volunteers, and in some cases professionals from other sectors as well. Now, on top of that, not everyone holds the same set of skills to accomplish goals, so teams are diversified based on people's strengths. Now, for example, some people have experience in housing, others, like you and I, have experience in learning and development, so we wouldn't serve the strategic plan well if we were on, say, the housing team.
Got it. I think I have a better understanding now of how our strategic plan works and what its purpose and goals are. Thanks for having this discussion with me and making it much clearer.
No problem at all. Glad I could help. If you have any further questions or concerns, please feel free to ask, and that applies to all of you watching this video as well. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it has been informational and helpful. Hope you have a wonderful day and stay safe out there, okay?